friends and family, fellow investors, real estaters, the good brother, Mr. Invest in Yourself, Larry Pendleton.
The name's Larry Pendleton. Not as good looking, but I do my best. I'm best known as the investor CPA. Just a big collage about myself. Like I said, we got the tax business, PC Financial Services. My partner, Terion Connor, is on the left there, your left. Like I said, he's my general contractor on all our deals. The picture on the top left, that's a 100-unit apartment syndication I've done with those. 5 guys, it's down to 3. Funny story how a black guy met an Asian, an Italian, and 2 white guys. Real funny story there. The apartment down here, that's the Newport News. We sold that one in 2023. We bought that during COVID for about $35,000 a door, and turned around and sold it for $72,000 a door. After major renovations, dealing with drug lords and all that. So when you're in real estate, there's not all roses. There's some realness going on. Now a funny story. Like we was going to take this unit here and convert that into a K-9 training unit. And then once the tenants found out what we were trying to do, people started moving out at that point. So you do what you gotta do to clean up the property. Just saying. And then I said, our focus now, like I said, we're really into the new construction. We see the path progression and stuff similar to 08. And maybe from y'all around here, Harborview wasn't Harborview before 08. Housing crash, it got expensive. Norfolk, Chesapeake, Virginia Beach, everybody started moving this money to Suffolk. Now we got Harborview. The exact same thing's happening now. We're letting everybody know that and sharing information. So, and I do modeling, as you can see in that picture in the middle. So, if you need a model, I do that as well. But my mission is to help people achieve financial freedom by building passive income and saving taxes. One before the other. You have to build the income first. I think people try to worry about saving on taxes. First is okay, make your money first, and then use that money to find ways to save on taxes. Once you have that in place, you're in the right path of building wealth for your family. So I don't want to, like I said, it's not going to take 30 minutes. I've been up here too long already. But there's 3 ways the wealthy really get into like growing wealth in real estate. 1 is transactional, 2 is buy and hold, and 3 is being the bank. We have done all 3. We're still in all 3. So but we'll go into details of each 3 and what the key components of those are. As I mentioned before, I really prefer it to be open dialogue. So if you want to kind of hear details or have questions, please, the floor is yours. I'm here to serve. Kind of disclaimer, informational purposes.
Get your own CPA and attorney. Hire him.
I know. That's your table over there. So when you talk to those who are wealthy and have grown in real estate, a common thing always comes up when you talk to them. Not all of them, but majority of the time when they're trying to build wealth, they follow one quote from Warren Buffett. If you're not making money while you sleep, you'll be working until you die. So in either one of those 3 buckets, you can build a way so that you're making money while you're asleep. But if you're not working towards this, and we have a lot of us who have parents or grandparents who are still working because they have not generated cash flow for them to replace their income coming in. And housing and stuff is just gonna get even more expensive. We're not gonna get political, we're just gonna leave it at that right now. So when it comes to transactional investing or being transactional in real estate, your areas of focus, those are your flipping, those are your wholesaling. If you're an agent, if you're a broker, if you're building properties to sell, like those are the type of transactions that we're talking about in this case here. Sometimes it's just quick profits that you're making. You may spend a month, you may spend 6 months. Basically, you're making your money on that transaction within a 12-month process. A lot of times you don't have any ownership of any assets. You may own your business, but you don't have any tangible assets. And there's a lower cost of barrier. So like I said, you don't have to have a lot of money to be a real estate agent. And if you're flipping houses, you can find the right money, people involved, you can probably get in a lot of deals with no money down. So those are characteristics when you're talking about the transactional. But the keys of building wealth in a transactional state is, can you build a team that will allow you to step away from the business and still cash flow from it?
That's the question.
That's the key there. You can keep building, you keep having a transaction, but at some point, can you find the right people? Can you hire the right folks to take your place? And then now you're just a hands-off owner, as we all try to be at some point. And you're using this opportunity to grow capital in order to buy assets along the way, or just preserve capital. And if you're going to go into trust and all that stuff and protect your capital that way, we're not going into the weeds on that right there. So buy and hold. So that's when, okay, you have capital, or you're in position to actually acquire rental properties along the way. So now we're like, whether it's short-term rentals, long-term rentals, apartments, you're really just acquiring assets, and you're leveraging equity from those assets as well to acquire more assets. Oddly enough, I didn't put the tax benefits up here. I just didn't want to see that word today at the moment. But you really get your tax benefits. I tell people, you make your money with your business. You use that money to buy rental assets to help save on taxes. And you have to buy the right type of real estate depending on what you're doing, if you have a W-2 and all that stuff. But the characteristics along with that is that you're building cash flow along the way. Like that's your capital, building cash flow at whatever amount you're looking to do. The appreciation is a big piece of it because you're still paying down that mortgage along the way, and that's what you're using to pull that equity out in order to acquire more assets or live the lifestyle that you want, as long as you know that the debt can be paid off at that point. And you got that moderate to high cost barrier depending on what you're looking to buy, but you're making sure that's when you may have to bring in partners if you're looking to buy something big. So the one in Georgia, the syndication that we've done in Georgia, we had 50 limited partners in our syndication. There was five general partners. There were roughly about 50 limited partners, and some people I brought in, some people others brought in. We was able to get their money back to them within 18 months because it was a full gut job, that apartment complex that we had to do. And they received the cash flow along the way. I think the overall return was about 17% once we was able to cash out refi, and they're still getting payments along the way. So they have all their money back, and they're still receiving payments along with us as well. Like we didn't get paid until we got their capital back. So the keys of it is that it's the type of right asset acquisition as well as the management of those assets. Now, I know some people say you may want to manage your own property if it's your first time or whatever. I have never managed any of my properties ever. Not my thing. I will pay somebody 10% of the profits to make sure all that stuff is done. That's just me personally. I keep putting leveraging equity up here because that is rather important when it comes to acquiring more assets. Like if there's opportunities to do a cash out refi or bring down your interest rate, like you have to use that in order to to build more, or we cross-collateralize one of our properties to get investors into another property because they now have ties in, because we have enough capital to cover, so they know that they can get the rents and the property from another one. But we got that cleared away, so it gives you time to acquire more along the way. Now the part that everyone should be at, or be striving for, is being the bank. If you haven't realized, banks don't really own too many rental properties. And if they do, they're trying to offload them as quickly as possible. So, I say that's where you get into the private lending, the syndication of funds, REITs and stuff. Basically, you're using your money to make money for you. As I did before, we're more into buying mortgage notes now. And the first one I bought was for $800. Like the person had $800 left, and I was still able to make $4,200 off of that because of how slow they was making their interest payments. So like there's opportunities like that where like you can come in at a pretty low amount if you know what you're doing to. Now you can't walk into a Bank of America and hey, I'm gonna buy some mortgages. Typically you're going to a broker for stuff like that.
That was gonna be before you said that was gonna be a question I was gonna ask you. Have you gotten in the space of buying notes or notes that are buying? So
yeah, so the lady I work with was in San Diego. Because what banks want to do, banks want to take large packages of notes and just sell it to a hedge fund.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it in the sense of a 30-year mortgage at a 7% interest rate, the bank may get money back within the first 7 years.
Okay.
Like most likely within the first 7 years they may get money back. So that's why they can sell at a discount, because anything above that is just there's profit at that point. And they need that money back sooner to put more loans out for credit cards.
Right.
So that's how they keep recycling their money that way. Most of the time, they already sold your loan before you even close the property.
Right. How's the valuation of buying a note? Are you buying it at face value, above face value? How do you value?
So it depends. So you look at notes pretty similar to you look at
Like bonds?
like they're actually buying the property.
Okay.
So you either gonna have is a performing note or non-performing. So if it's non-performing, or it's more like a flip property, you gotta do some work to it. You gotta do some work to that borrower, is really what I'm trying to say. Like how do you get them back into performing, and now the note is re-performing. If they're performing, that's more of your rental property, you can buy it, they have no issue, you just walking in at that point. Now your performing notes, you're typically buying them above, they call them par, like face value, what they what the unpaid principal balance is, or you can probably get it at 5-10% like discount from there.
Okay.
Depending on like.
Did you say that's performing?
Yeah. Now non-performing, because there's work needed, you can probably get a 20-25% discount on non-performing notes, because the seller knows.
The remaining balance that's due?
What you say?
You mean off the remaining balance?
What's the remaining balance that's due?
Okay.
So if it's 100,000, if there's 100,000 left on the balance, you're gonna buy it above, below it. It's very rare you're gonna buy above it unless you just really want that deal and it's a high interest rate on it.
Wow. Can we try to buy our own note?
So it's for your own home.
So let's say I have a mortgage of $100,000,
Mm-hmm.
and is there a way I can just try to buy that $100,000 instead of the typical traditional refinance where I can try to get that discount?
But at that point, you're just paying off your mortgage at that point. So you're really looking at it from a separate property or for somebody else at that point. Because they're going to know that like you're the actual. If you do all the LLCs and entity structures, like they'll find out. Like,
They'll find out
who's the actual owner of this property. Oh, the owner trying to buy it? Oh yeah. So you're. I can see where you're going, because like that question's been asked before, but that's how that's kind of mitigated from there.
Okay.
Any other questions on notes? But that's really true passive income at that point. like there's a lot of paperwork on the front end. We have about 8 notes now, all like my mentor in the note space. He sold me, when he showed me his account, his portfolio, he had 400 notes, all paying him between 150 and 375 a month. And he like, you do the math, like, do I gotta work anymore? Like, God damn it, Dan. I got it. I text Terion that right after that, like, you're selling everything and moving stuff now. Thank you. Sorry, I get excited about that. So now, like I said, now we got 8, all between 150 and 225. And I literally just check on the 5th, the money's there.
I love it.
I don't do anything with the property. I have a loan servicing company that manages all of it. They take $25 a month per note. And people wonder why, like why would they charge that cheap? Loan servicing companies are looking at thousands of notes.
Volume.
So their business is volume. So $25 over however number of notes that they're looking at per month, they're making their money. They're fine. We don't got to worry about tenants. We're not worried about trash, termites. Like it just shows up.
What if someone defaults on the note?
Yeah, so that's when you gotta know which state that you're getting into, where there's a judicial and non-judicial state. Because the foreclosure process is going to be at least 6 months to go through a full disclosure process, depending on what state you are. We did one. Okay, it takes 30 days to actually. You gotta wait 30 days before you can actually submit a notice. So it took us 9 months to get the property foreclosed on. And the reason why you buy at a discount is because all our notes, the properties are in Missouri, Ohio, places I do not care to go to at all. So long as the property value is above the unpaid principal balance, I'm putting on the market and then just getting whatever I get from it at that point. I'm not doing any work to that property. But there is that's the default risk when it comes to kind of being that private lending, being the bank space at that point. So kind of keys is like you're vetting the operator, especially if you're just putting money into these REITs and funds, like because I have clients in Florida, hurricane last year took out the whole property, insurance didn't pay for it, they lost all their investors' money. It wasn't the fault of the operator. Okay, you have to know that property is in a high risk area. That's the risk of giving your money to somebody else and let it operate you from that standpoint. But it's not all roses at that point. And we're getting K1s out for all 76 of their investors, and they are pissed.
Do you have an opinion on tax lien certificates, investing in those, or?
I mean, it's a good way to get into real estate in a cheap way, where it's like, cool, that property is actually worth $50,000, but you got on the tax lien for $3,000 or whatever. So it's a good way to, and that's where you kind of go from transactional. Okay, do I just get it and then flip the property?
Yeah.
Or do I go buy a whole and I can just rent it out? Mm-hmm. Or because you guys are so cheap, do you then just self-finance it to someone and then they're just paying you a mortgage? Now you gotta be concerned if it's a homeowner or not, you're getting the Dodd-Frank regulations at that point. So if you're doing straight to homeowners, you gotta be Dodd-Frank certified. If not, I think there's a guy in Virginia, he's called Scott Jerlick or something. He does like the slow flips.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so it's basically like he self-financed it to a lease option, whatever, to a contractor. And he signs documents saying that it's not his primary residence.
Yeah.
Quotations here. Cameras. Yeah. So you got to make that. You can get a lot of trouble with not being certified, because that's what happened in 08. Like people basically giving out these loans and people can't afford to. They really shouldn't be having these loans.
Right.
So they're trying to avoid that with these new regulations.
Yeah.
I have a question. Can you, what was the certification name again?
Dodd-Frank. DODDFRANK.
Thank you.
So that basically means that it's additional due diligence to ensure that the borrower can pay off the mortgage for their home.
Thank you.
Because the next phase was like, we can get the properties built and then we'll sell the financing. We're trying to work with attorneys, because there's not too many attorneys that are Dodd-Frank certified to kind of help with that process. So we prefer to just build them and then sell or finance them, so we can control the terms and truly be the bank for that family. And then work with the right investors, like, hey, we're gonna ride this for a year or two, and then we'll sell off the paper and get everybody paid out that way.
What kind of loan to value would you do on a seller bond?
You typically try to be a little more flexible in that space. If you're going to go down that path, so like a lot of hard money lenders, they do 67%. So if we're going to do it, we'll push it 80, 85, but we gotta see, we're digging at that point. We're going to be seller financing to somebody from there, and the equity on the property. Like, are we covered depending on what we're selling it for? So if there's a lot of equity, all right, we'll get into the 90s if need be. Any other questions? No? Action steps. Y'all heard me talk for way too long. Now it's time to talk to some experts. Put a plan, get your books in order. Please get your books in order and know what your financial situation is. So you can put a plan together, because if you don't have those two things together, you're not gonna be able to execute that plan and then reassess to figure out what works for you. I have failed a lot, but I learned a lot from those failures along the way, which is why I don't do flips anymore. So. Another long story with that one, but I'll that's all I got. This is a team sport of building passive income and saving on taxes and building wealth. So QR code is on the top corner. But yeah, appreciate y'all staying awake. Thank you. So I've been CPA tax advisor for over 2 decades now. Our niche, PC Financial Services, our tax company is niche in real estate. We typically tell people, if you really want to see tax savings, you have to invest in real estate from a long-term perspective. But for over a decade now, I have been investing in the real estate myself. Primarily, we've done the flips, single-family rentals, multi-family rentals, syndications, funds, apartment building syndications. Like, so currently right now we're doing new construction and buying mortgage notes. That's kind of our cash flow play there. And we do the new construction mostly for the capital, gaining capital, as well as to address the affordable home ownership issue that we have in this country. But the primary purpose of what I wanted to talk about, and I ain't want to take too long and put y'all to sleep right before lunch, so I know I'm in the way of that. I primarily want to talk about kind of 3 ways the wealthy use real estate to build wealth. And I wasn't going to go in the detail of our particular projects unless anyone asks, but we do raise private money as well. We got to that point where whether it's family, some horror stories there, but we have investors in Florida, we have investors in Maryland, some investors in California. So one investor, currently now he's in Honduras. So we're constantly in the midst of, if we have a deal in place and we feel like it's a good opportunity for someone, we'll present it to whatever group to see what type of returns they want to achieve and grow from there. It's all about providing opportunity for the everyday person, to your point of not everyone can lend $200,000. All right, can we set up an entity for that family where everyone puts in 25 and work up towards that? Or do we have a smaller deal? Like our new construction now, we have a Booker T model, which is kind of like our smaller home from Norfolk. We have a larger, and we have 3 other models that are named after my contractor's wife and kids. So all of those are different price points. What we do is like, we'll just buy the land. So we just bought 3 more lots in Suffolk Tuesday. So we're sitting on 16 lots across the city of Suffolk, mostly around downtown. And what we do is that's our skin in the game at that point with our own capital from the tax business. Like once the family's good, all the money's going straight to real estate at that point. Oh, great. We got it figured out, yes. Any other questions before we get rolling? Awesome. So, yeah, I wanted to really target like how I notice what the rich do. So being a tax advisor for over 2 decades, and those 2 over there to attest to this, you kind of notice what the wealthy actually do and how they grow and they keep stuff in the family. And they just keep compounding stuff over and over throughout the time. So it's okay, you really learn for who you want to get to. You may not want to be that person. You just know, okay, is there a way to take what they're doing and bring it in-house? That's always like, whoever I work with, I'm gonna take something from you and I'm gonna bring it back home and educate my own people at that point.